All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of This Is My Offer. Today, I'm joined with Adam Sandman, the founder and CEO of Inflectra. Adam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks, CJ. Yes, it's great to be here today. My name is Adam Sandman. I'm the founder and CEO of Inflectra. I've been working in the software industry for about 25 years, around project management, quality assurance, software development, and all other exciting technology innovations.
Awesome. Sounds great. And I'm CJ Sturgess, Partner Solutions Architect here at AWS. I help support Inflectra, especially around marketplace motions. And today, we're very excited to talk to you a little bit more about Inflectra's offerings and solutions. So, to jump right in, Adam, can you tell us a little bit more about what Inflectra does and how you help enterprise organizations improve the quality of their software products?
Absolutely. As Inflectra, we've been around for 19 years, and our mission is really around software quality, helping companies improve the quality of their software delivery. And I think in the marketplace, there's often a myth that you have to sacrifice quality for speed or speed for quality. And that, unfortunately, it's like a false binary. People have this view that that's what you have to trade off, and we believe you can have it all. We call this the genius of the and. What we do by that is we want to help customers be agile, be able to deliver software at speed and at scale, particularly enterprise IT, which may not be digital natives. They may be dealing with large numbers of complex systems, working in industries where they have to make sure the software works all the time, every time. And what we can do with our lifecycle management platform and other tooling is help them have the best of both worlds. Deliver software, make it at high quality, at speed when the clients need it, but also no issues, minimal risks, and be able to manage that quality and be really intentional around the risks they're taking and delivering a high quality product all the time. When really in industries where quality is paramount, where a single cause of failure could be life or death situation.
Absolutely. I love too that you mentioned that one of the challenges in this organization or in this space is with lack of modernization in some cases. I'm curious, what other challenges does Inflectra help businesses solve?
I mean, it's interesting you mentioned modernization. Clients are always dealing with a combination of in-house software, third-party solutions, major ERP systems, CRM, and that you're always balancing the needs of being able to deliver software fast. The latest technologies using cloud native framework, CI/CD, using agile methodologies, and you can see on the right that's what they're aspiring to. But these organizations are also working in the world of the left, which is regulated processes. It could be a life science company working with the 21 Part 11 requirements for a medical device, or it could be a banking institution that has to follow the requirements for DORA and the US equivalent regulations for digital resiliency, or it could be a company working in energy, life science, energy and utilities has to deal with the NIPSC regulations, and those regulations mean that when you release software that's going to impact real world environments, power grids, banking, there are real world consequences for failure. So you can't just throw software out at the end of a sprint and hope it works. You have to be able to ensure and demonstrate that you have that quality and compliance built in. But at the same time, these are commercial organizations in most cases, and they are competing with competitors. And if they're not first or at least at a comparable speed as their competitors, they could be out of business. So that's why I say you can't have one without the other. You need speed, you need to be able to follow compliance. And our product suite really bridges what we call that gap, the gap between the left and the right hand side of enterprise IT.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Could you explain to us the different products that Inflectra offers and what the business value is to your customers?
Absolutely. And fitting into that mission of tying the regulated processes and agile together, speed and quality, the Spira platform, which consists of three different versions, is really the core data platform. That's the lifecycle management, everything from business requirements to testing to QA, task management, and program and portfolio management. The idea of the Spira suite is to give CIOs and enterprise IT executives visibility into the quality and delivery of their products. And then we've added on to that several other key technology enablers. The Spira apps is our app platform, which lets people that could be customers, could be partners, SI partners, or other technology partners in Inflectra build their own applications to handle industry specific use cases. So that, for example, a life science customer might have some different needs than an energy or financial service customer. Spira apps gives them that customizability. And then on the lower part of the slide of below the orange line, you'll see we have the data synchronization that lets us tie in other enterprise IT products like Jira, like GitHub, like GitLab, other key systems that they have that they want to integrate that we need to be able to have interoperability with. Spira Capture, Rapise then offer automated testing and the ability to automate process around the testing. So taking the idea of building out your requirements and your tests, and then automating that to achieve time to market faster. And then the last piece is our ChronoDesk, which is our integrated help desk solution, which really brings customer feedback into the top of the life cycle. So when customers have a new product they're releasing into delivery, they need to be able to get feedback from a customer and get that back into the product roadmap. ChronoDesk helps to close that loop.
Gotcha. Thank you for the context. It's really interesting to see how Inflectra's full product suite helps these organizations solve their really deepest challenges. I'd really like to lean into one of those challenges you highlighted too, which is adopting latest technologies. In that space, how does Inflectra see agentic AI change the landscape for software testing and quality?
I mean, it's changing it dramatically. Software quality has always been tied very closely to developers and development itself, because testers have always really had to work very closely with development teams and product teams. And product teams are using agentic AI, as we've seen with all the announcements in the industry,
Sure.
around taking a business specification, a business requirement, and turning it into code, turning it into a working application, whether that's vibe coding or even really production ready. We're going to have a human digital team doing development. And so what we're seeing in the QA side and the quality side is the exact same thing. We need a human digital team doing testing. If we're going to have 10x the amount of application code written in the same sprint in the same time period, QA has to have that same velocity and cadence. And in the enterprise IT world, we all know budgets are not infinite, so we have to do more with less. So if we can take a testing team of, say, 20 people, and with agentic AI and generative AI, we can superpower that team. They can now keep up with the development cadence, and now we have the ability to have speed and quality. Going back to my original concept, which is that IT has to have both. Business users, business line buyers using IT for managed energy, finance, life sciences, these systems mustn't go down, and they have to have new features. Agentic AI lets you do so much more with that same team and have higher quality in the result.
Absolutely. And talking too about how AI can enable new powers for organizations, how does Inflectra use Gen AI in your products today?
I mean, it's interesting. We've really been at the forefront in our industry of employing it. And in the Inflectra AI product we've added into our suite, what we do is we can help product owners, Scrum masters, team members working on a product, and the QA manager and QA team, they can take user stories and requirements, and they can take that and they can then build out test plans, test cases, automated tests using AI. Together with that, they can identify potential risks in the functionality, mitigate those risks, and they can even build out scenarios and BDD types flows to understand what are the different use cases. And I can show you that live if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you can see on my screen, this is our Spira application, and we have this dashboard when you first come in. This is really geared towards the CIOs, VPs of IT, program owners, product owners, depending on the size of the organization. And it really lets them see a one-stop shop view of everything going on in their software lifecycle. This is for one individual product. You can also obviously scale up to products, programs, and portfolios right here. But in terms of the AI functionality, what we've done is if we go into, for example, our requirements matrix here, if I was going to add a new piece of functionality, and let's take a finance example because it's, I think, relatively easy for everyone to understand, I'm going to create a new user story. So I would go into my requirements matrix here, and I would say, as a customer, I want to be able, I'll make this bigger in a second, I want to be able to transfer funds between my two bank accounts. Okay, I'll click on it. And what would normally happen in a software development or software testing organization is I would now have a team take this one user story here. Maybe there's a more detailed set of requirements that goes with it, more of a specification, and then they would build out the test cases, the tasks, they would identify any risks. And typically this could take days, if not weeks, to really build out a good skeleton just for one feature. But using the power of Inflectra AI right here, I can actually build out test cases, tasks, and risks right from this AI sidebar. And this AI sidebar is context sensitive. So if I was to change this requirement from a feature to, say, a use case, which supports Gherkin and the ability to have a scenario, and I go now back to my sidebar, you'll see there's another option just being presented. So it is aware of the requirement type as well as the page I'm on. So let's say I take that definition and I want to generate some scenarios. So I'm clicking the button. It's now going to use its intelligence and the information I have to generate different scenarios. And you can see here with the progress bar, it has generated 3 different scenarios. It's generated a set of scenarios here, for example, one happy path case, which is the successful fund transfer between 2 accounts. it's generated the two edge cases, one for insufficient funds and one for an invalid account number. And it gives you significant steps of how to do that. If this is a new application that's not yet been built, this would then get fed into product development. And we can do that by going into the tasks tab. And we can even use the AI to say, build out my work breakdown structure, which we can then either manage directly here in Spira, or it can be pushed to one of the other tools I mentioned earlier that we integrate with. So that way it appears in the development team's work stream. And you can see here, it's built out the tasks on the right-hand side. If I just refresh this, you'll see them in a bit more detail here. These are the different tasks it's created. And that way we can then push that to the development team. Now, obviously, we're talking a lot about quality and compliance. So the other area we're very concerned about is testing. How do we test this brand new feature? Without ever seeing the feature, without having yet developed the screens for it, we can still build out a test plan. To do that, we'll go and click on the create test cases. And what it will do is take that same user story, name, description, information, and will now build out a robust draft test plan. And while it's doing that, one thing I should mention is whenever it's generating 10 test cases with a total of 80 steps or 79 steps, rounding up, it's doing that right now. And it's using the power of generative AI to build all this information. Okay, and you can see here it's built a series of positive and negative test cases. So the first one is a positive, verify successful fund transfer. The rest are all different negative cases. And as a tester, what we found when we talked to a lot of our customers is it's first of all a time saver. There's a huge productivity boost in having it write these test cases for me. And if I look on a test case, it's not just the test case. It's also the steps that come with it, which are right here. So it's building out a robust test case with steps. Now, the thing is, first of all, it's going to save me time. That's the first benefit from productivity. But the second and almost more important benefit is how many of these would I have thought of as a human test manager or test writer, test analyst? Typically, they would say, I would think about 7 or 8 of these, but there's 1 or 2 I wouldn't have thought of. And for them, that's actually almost a bigger benefit. It's that missed quality because now there's 2 or 3 extra tests that I would have missed. And we'd have put this into the formal testing cycle. We'd have found there's an issue when we went it through human testing. And now we've got to redevelop the application. In this case, because we're doing this test first, we can fill out what we need to test before we even build the application, reducing quality issues downstream and improving the quality of the final product and avoiding missed issues as well. Now, the other thing to mention, of course, is risk. When you're delivering at speed and at scale, especially for these regulated industries, everyone wants to understand the risk of going live. Because when you go live with any piece of software, whether it's in energy or life sciences or finance or any other really critical industry that we serve, you're never going to be bug free, but you want to understand what are the risks in this piece of software in the change we've made, and is it an acceptable business risk? And so using the risk functionality, I can go over here and I can even identify the risks associated with a funds transfer feature. In this case, it's come up with 3 different risks: insufficient funds, insufficient transfer. And if I go to my risk section, just refresh it, these are my 3 different risks. So one risk of this is there could be an unauthorized fund transfer, and that's a major risk. Now, how do I solve that risk? Well, we can ask the AI one more time for mitigation. And so what it will do is it will take that identified risk and it will now build out potential mitigations for how we would reduce that risk. So there it comes down here. They're setting up real-time alerts, use machine learning algorithms, education, training, and we can do this for all kinds of different business requirements, different risks it identifies: technical, security, financial. All those different kinds of risks can be discussed and mitigated right here in the system. So that's a little bit of an overview of what we can do with Inflectra AI. There's actually a lot more functionality available. We can take some of those test cases and automate them, and we can definitely show more of that if people want to learn more about the product.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the demo, Adam. I wanted to drill in a little bit more on one thing you mentioned about the AI sidebar, and that's
Mm-hmm.
importantly that it's context aware. In my own interactions and conversations with customers, we've definitely learned how many organizations are particularly sensitive to data security and compliance, especially in these regulated industries that you've mentioned. I'm curious, what's Inflectra's approach to data security and compliance, especially given the potentially sensitive nature of software development data and the use of agentic AI?
Absolutely. And our customers, as I mentioned, the industries we talked about, they are very, very sensitive, very careful. And in many cases, we are often one of the first AI applications that they've approved to actually be used in their organizations. Part of it is, I think, being the fact that we built the product on a solid foundation. We're using the Amazon Bedrock platform. We've been using Amazon guardrails to ensure that both the input and output is fully monitored. So we monitor all the inbound prompts that we're generating. The prompts are not customizable. So I know a lot of customers, a lot of companies have built a prompt-based AI where the user is expected to write the prompts. We found that both for quality of output and safety, we control the prompts and give business users effectively very simple tasks they can carry out. So that way, we're making sure that they get high quality output. It also reduces the input issue of prompt injection, prompt violation, but we also using guardrails to do that and monitor everything coming in. We also have safeguards and guardrails on the output. So whatever is generated by Inflectra AI is going to be safe. Now, another interesting aspect is our customers are also very data residency aware. And so we host our core platform in AWS in 6 different regions currently. And if customers want it in additional regions, we'll do that as well. Each region is geo-locked. And we did the same thing when we implemented the AI LLM functionality. They're geo-locked and co-resident, meaning that if I'm in the United States on a HIPAA-based application, which requires data privacy for healthcare data, PHI, I can use Spira. We have a BAA in place with the customer. They can use Spira quite safely, but then when they use the AI, that data is also staying resident in the US. We've got customers in the EU, and under GDPR, that data mustn't leave the EU. So not only is our core SaaS app living in the EU, the LLM is also co-resident in the EU, and none of the data is sent outside the EU. And that's the same for other regions like Australia, India that we operate in. Different industries have different residency requirements. We've been able to implement that in the application. And then lastly, we do have a responsible AI policy. We're also SOC 2 Type 2 certified, PCI DSS. So we have a large amount of just core security best practices baked into the company. But when it came to using AI, we also made sure 2 other things. We don't train the model using any of their data, and all the data is ephemeral. It's used in the prompt, it's used to get the answer, and then it's purged out of the system. So there's no memory and context memory in the LLM of any of their data at inference or during training.
Absolutely. It's great to hear how Inflectra is taking great strides to keep their customers' data protected and secure.
Thank you.
Uh, let's talk a little bit about scale. I know you mentioned that currently you deploy the Inflectra solutions across 6 different regions and that you're more than willing to work with your customers to deploy into additional regions as necessary.
Mm-hmm.
As you've kind of experienced this growth, how do you ensure that your solutions remain scalable for enterprises, especially of different sizes and complexities or in regulated industries?
Great question. I mean, we have built a high availability web application as our core SaaS product. We're using a lot of services around scalability. We're using high volume networking, VPCs. A lot of the technical best practices that Amazon's helped us working with our SA. Which will be you, has been really helpful in helping us really optimize the application. And when we run into limits, we have run into some scale limits at times. We will reach out both to our internal team and to AWS resources that are available to ensure that we figure out how do we avoid those limits. And sometimes it can be limits around network bandwidth. It could be limits around data sizes. We're always having to, I think, be challenged by our customers. They say, well, feedback is a gift from a customer, and our customers are really pushing the envelope. And as they push the envelope, we have to then adapt. So I think we've been very responsive in understanding what are our customers looking to do today? How do we use load balancing? How do we do data replication? How do we use CDNs to deliver static content? There's a lot of technical things we've put in place, but customers will have this knack of surprising you by pushing the boundaries on how many test cases they want to have. One customer wanted 30,000 automated test cases in a single project, and as we find these limits, we basically, as a company, we're invested in working with our customers as partners to get past these limits. So I think a lot of it is working with good experts, but also listening to customers and being open to their feedback on how we can improve the scalability as they want to grow their businesses. We want to grow with them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the context. Really appreciate the background.
You're welcome.
Let's talk about some of your customers. Can you share some success stories with us?
I can. I won't mention the names, but specifically, we've been working
Sure.
with different industries for success. And in many cases, we were one of the first AI solutions that they've actually used. One I'll mention is that a large Philippine government agency has been using the Spira platform and Rapise to automate all of the testing of large amounts of geospatial and complex citizen data, which is for the Philippine government. So this data includes a lot of PII, some PHI, but mostly PII. It's also got large amounts of geographic data, property data, residential data, information that really is A, sensitive, and B, large in scale. And they're having to test a wide variety of applications. They were testing desktop apps, mobile apps, web apps, APIs, and they were able to use the entire suite of Spira plus Rapise plus Inflectra AI to really speed that up. And many of these government agencies are often, out competing with other agencies for how they can deliver and show best practices. So not only has the client felt that they've accelerated their delivery by about 60% over what they were using before, but they've also become a showcase to other government agencies around how they're doing things, which of course really helps them, I think, get resources and budget for more work they want to do in their agency. And a second use case I think would be interesting is we've been working with a medical technology company, and they've been using the product to again build a HIPAA compliant, PHI compliant, AI driven application
Wow.
with large amounts of patient data and lots of PHI. And they had to test and deliver this at scale to all of their customers and hospitals and various other constituents. And basically, they've used our platform to really accelerate their delivery to their customers. And they've had about, I think, a 75% productivity increase when they added the AI functionality into their existing Spira platform, which was already giving them productivity benefits over, I think, spreadsheets and manual methods that they were using before. So I would say those are two really good customer case studies that we have around using the Inflectra platform, but in particular with the AI aspect included.
Definitely. Yeah, it's really great to see how organizations, one, are able to use Inflectra tools to help build out better products, to modernize their own workflows, like you mentioned, moving away from spreadsheets, also to help adopt advancing technologies such as AI. What other industry kind of changes or trends do you currently see, and how do you stay on top of them?
Yeah, I mean, industry trends are always a challenge for us because we have to look at the left side, the right side. So the right side has
Yeah,
been, agile, DevOps, cloud-based CI/CD. And when we started the company in 2006, agile was relatively new. The Agile Manifesto had just been signed a few years earlier. Then we have CI/CD, we have DevOps, and now we have agentic AI and AI in the development lifecycle. On the left-hand side, as software has become so much more ingrained in society, there's more rules and regulations. So every year there are new rules that customers have to comply with, which therefore we may have to comply with it. For example, DORA in the EU came out last year, medical devices, the EU AI Act, Digital Services Act. There's lots of different rules and regulations, and as software has become so, I think, ingrained into technology, into the lifeblood of society, it's becoming more apparent. For example, when we started the company, it was mostly going to be business applications running on laptops, desktops. We're now seeing a lot of IoT, embedded software running in self-driving cars or smart fridges, smart industrial meters using software that has to be tested and using AI and IoT and embedded. And now you're testing hardware, software. It's incredible the applications our customers are finding for both software and therefore testing of software, like smart defibrillators. So it's again, we didn't think about that when we built our platform, but customers have this amazing way of finding new uses, which means we have to adapt. We have to make our product work for them and help them deliver safely and at speed and at scale. And so I'd say, I think it's just the amazing use cases of technology, which is exciting. It also means it's a challenge from a quality standpoint.
yeah, definitely a challenge. So I'd love to pause here too to ask a little bit more about what Inflectra's approach is to customer education and support, and if you've seen that actually impact successful implementations and long-term relationships with your customers.
Absolutely. And I think this is something we've had to struggle and evolve with as customers have changed what they're looking for. So when we started out, we would have help documentation and manuals, and that was really the cornerstone of education. And now what we found is that you then go from manuals and documentation to in-app help, guided tours. Really, people are not going to have time to read something, so you want to make the app self-guiding. And then we realized we wanted to have videos and more audio-visual technologies, because some people love to read and are more passive learners. Others are more active learners. They want to play around and see in-app help. And there's people who are more, I think, experiential learners. They want to play around with it. Others want to watch a video. And then what we found is that people want to watch videos when they want the content. So maybe it's short form. Other people want to be able to be educated and understand the whole concept. So we then launched something called Inflectra Campus, which is a on-demand, completely self-paced, certified training course with modules for each part of all of our different products, which is great because we can then benchmark people in an organization, so that as you get a new organization, particularly a large organization, adopting the tool, what you want is to have champions and internal, I would say, experts to train the trainer. So having an online campus has been really good because, again, we have a global client base. We need to be able to help them educate the champions to help everyone else. If we don't have champions in an organization, that's where we see product adoption doesn't take off, and then we get customer churn. And for us, the worst thing, there are two worst things. One is customer churn, but the second thing that's almost as bad is when you go do a check-in with a customer, they bought this platform which can do 100 different things for them, and they're using 20% of the product, and they didn't even know they're not getting value, because there's time to market and there's time to value. So they can get up and running in 2 weeks, absolutely. But time to value could be months. And so the last piece I
Sure.
would say is for large organizations or those with more complex needs, we have an SI partner network, and we really use that partner network, which is something we started about 5 years ago, to bring solution service partners into an organization because they can help increase adoption. Especially because we do operate in different countries, different time zones, different languages. We don't have at Inflectra by ourselves the organic capability to do every language and know everything about every methodology. But we have partners that know life sciences and are experts in that. We have partners that know the energy industry really well and might be in, Texas. They might be in Germany. They might be in Australia or the Philippines. And so as a result, a local partner that has domain, industry, and geographical relevance together with online recorded videos to kind of sort of set the foundation, that really helps get success for our largest customers. But then we have to onboard and make sure we train our partners because they need to know the latest technology. Because the worst thing is having a partner go in there and then maybe know outdated information from maybe a year ago. So that increases the enablement burden on the partner side of the company to make sure our partners are always enabled with the most recent information. And as our release cadence has gone from monthly to, with AI, weekly releases of AI functionality, it can be a challenge, honestly, to keep our partners up to date with what's going on so they can be the best advocates to our customers.
Absolutely. Good challenges all around, it sounds like.
True.
Fair enough. Well, thank you again, Adam, for your time. I really appreciate you taking a moment here to talk a little bit more about Inflectra's suite of solutions with us today. I know there are definitely going to be customers interested, and for our aspiring product champions out there, how can we get started with Inflectra?
Well, what we usually recommend is, first of all, going to AWS Marketplace, and there's an option there for a free trial. You can sign up for a free trial. It's for 30 days, all functionality, all products, including AI. And then once you get started, we have an automated onboarding sequence that will actually put you in touch with one of our account managers, and they'll be based on your geography and region. So there will be times located near you. They can then talk to you, discuss your challenges, your business objectives, and then help put together an implementation and POC plan. So make sure that that trial isn't just you on your own. What do I do next? But make sure you're fully enabled in that trial period. So you show time to value even in the trial. And from there onwards, we then hope to get you on board as a customer if things work out.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time again, Adam. And to our viewers out there, thank you for your time today and learning a little bit more about Inflectra. And stay tuned in for the next episode of This Is My Offer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.